Let's bring in Claire Seaward. She is the Global Campaigns Director for WaterAid. She joins us now from London. Claire, good to see you. When we talk about the climate crisis, we often concentrate on rising sea levels and the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, that could be displaced in the near future. But this crisis is multifaceted, and it's not just about rising sea levels.
No, you're absolutely right. It's not. It's about droughts. It's about cyclones and typhoons being more frequent and more extreme. It is also, as you've been talking about, being about heat waves. It does mean that we are all across the world having to deal with extreme weather and hardening conditions. And it means we need to really go back to the basics and think about what do we need wherever we are to be able to survive. A lot of the guidance you'll have heard this week during the extreme weather has been stay out of the sun, keep cool, stay hydrated, coming back to those basics and making sure people have things like water and sanitation are going to be increasingly important as people become under more and more extreme stress from the weather we're experiencing.
We'll get into what needs to happen moving forward, but we often say that it's the poorer countries, the less developed countries that are bearing the brunt of this climate crisis. That may very well be so, but when you look at sort of the recent heat wave, as well as raging wildfires, it's mostly European countries, rich countries, wealthy nations that are suffering. Could this be the wake-up call that so many activists and scientists have been calling for?
It needs to be the wake-up call that we've all been waiting for. You're right. What we're seeing now is people for the rich world, they're on the doorstep of seeing some of the extremes of this. It's really sobering to think that 2 months ago, parts of India and Pakistan had weeks of 50-degree heat, and that wasn't getting the same kind of profile. It shouldn't take having to have the kind of extreme heat, the drying out of dams in Italy, the fires that we're seeing now to be the wake-up call. But we do need world leaders to start taking action. And hopefully this is the moment that they do.
Getting back to basics, I want to ask you that question. What do we need to do moving forward? What are some simple solutions that are easily implementable at this stage? I'm not talking about additional funding, things that we can do now to alleviate some of the effects.
Climate change is often seen as really daunting, and there are some really complex and long-term things that need to be happening, and they need to be happening now. But there are also some real fundamentals. Making sure people have access to water. Can you imagine having to be in this kind of heat at the moment and having to walk an hour each way just to get water to drink to survive? Can you imagine having to give birth in a hospital that didn't have water right now? Can you imagine not having a flushing toilet? These are things that we know what to do. The climate scientists have said these are immediate impact actions that we can be taking now. And the funding is there. We obviously need more, but by directing money into these sorts of things, we can actually be taking action right now.
Okay, WaterAid's Claire Seaward, thank you very much for joining us here on the NewsHour. Do appreciate talking to you and hearing your analysis. Thank you.
Thank you.